to call to session the fourth session of the 55th Senate. And with that, for all of those willing and able, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, we'll be moving into the land acknowledgement.
Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples.
This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other Native nations.
We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it.
As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed.
CSU is a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion.
And significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon.
This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment.
We'll now be moving into the swearing in of new senators and associates. If you are a new senator or associate, please come to the front.
Do you want them just to say it out loud so there's no mic, or share the mic?
Leary, in your professional SBC senator experience, would you rather our senators and associate senators up for ratification speak into this mic, or would it be okay if they did it without the mic?
They can also do that one.
I think we're all familiar with the ratification statement, and I don't think any of them are trying to not be respectful of it, so.
Cool, I just wanted to double check this in the room. Thank you.
I state your name.
I, Jackson Singleton,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University,
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University,
and will rightfully perform
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congrats.
Thank you. With that, we'll be moving into beginning roll call.
Okay, so I am filling in today for the clerk. So I deeply apologize if I butcher your name. I will try my best.
Feel free to correct me afterwards or even during, that's fine with me. All right, Speaker Reese,
Present.
Speaker Pro Tempore Lutz.
Here.
Parliamentarian Falbo,
Here.
Officer Diggs. Here. Senator Chack. Chairman Onti.
Present.
Senator Roberts.
Present.
Senator Rivera. Present. Associate Senator Wilkin.
Present.
Associate Senator Cure. Senator Dettelbach. Senator Hansen.
Here.
Senator Pata Perez.
Here.
Senator Villa. Senator Jameson.
Here.
Senator Taylor.
Present.
Senator Gennard.
Here.
Senator Quesada Stoner. Or, no, sorry, Chair. Here. Senator Bridge. Chair Rivera.
Present.
Senator Flores.
Here.
Chair McLaughlin.
Present.
Senator Bacchini?
Yeah, Basheen, here.
Basheen, okay, I'm sorry, I butchered that one. Senator Mendoza. Senator Green.
Present.
Senator Frisbee is here. Associate Senator Nunes.
Here.
Senator Mora.
Here.
Senator Jama.
Here.
Senator Jeffries.
Here.
Associate Senator Group.
Here.
Associate Senator Hill, or actually Chair now.
Here.
Associate Senator Pickerel.
Here.
Associate Senator Harris. And then, actually, oh yeah, there we go. Chair Gilroy.
Online.
Okay. All right, and that is all I have on the list here. Again, I apologize for my mispronouncing of things. Sometimes words get jumbled and also reading is hard.
Thank you, Senator Frisky. Additionally, if your name wasn't on the list, if you want to come up to me after session so we can exchange contact information and make sure you get on that attendance list, please do. But with that, we'll now be entering consent agenda. Do I hear any dissent to this agenda? Senator Taylor.
I move to pull the omnibus bill out of the two committees that it was sent to and put that on the agenda.
Do I hear any dissent to this motion? Hearing none, it'll be reflected.
I believe that would be an old business.
Oh, yeah, good point.
That would be its second wording.
Is that your only motion?
Yes, I yield.
Awesome, thank you. Do you have a good? Yes.
Yeah.
Director Craig?
I motion to remove Bill 55, or Resolution 55XX, resolution opposing the platforming of hate and intolerance at CSU from tonight's agenda.
Second.
Hearing consent, we'll go ahead and vote on this motion via placard. So all those in favor of removing this from the agenda, please raise your placard.
Raise them high, please.
I completely forgot this is the author. The author has the jurisdiction to remove this from the agenda. That was my bad. My bad. So it'll be reflected. Completely my bad. Is there any other dissent to this agenda?
Can I make a motion to move the operational relations intern ratification of Landon Blanco to the very end of tonight's agenda? He has a lab. Gets out at 7:50, so if you guys are still going, then he'll go ahead and make his way here and we can cover that. And if not, we'll try again next week, but that's gonna be the timeline that works for him.
Would I be correct in it being directly after the omnibus?
As far back as we can move it, so yes.
Okay, awesome.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Is there any dissent to this motion? Hearing none, that'll also be reflected. Is there any other dissent to this agenda? Hearing none, I will go ahead and move into gallery input. Just a quick word before we move into that. Just a reminder, gallery input, as well as being a space for community members to communicate, is also a space for us as members of ASCSU to take a step back from our positionality and make partisan statements. So if you'd like to make a partisan statement tonight outside of your position, please utilize gallery input to do so. Does anyone from gallery wish to speak? Ben Greg? Also, you have 5 minutes to speak.
Hello everyone, my name is Ben Gregg, he, him. I'm the Director of Pathways for Excellence here at ASCSU. I was also the author of the resolution opposing the platforming of hate and intolerance at CSU. Given today's events, I have made some remarks that I would like all of you to hear, and it kind of provides some reasoning for why I decided to take this resolution off of the agenda for tonight. First off, I want to recognize the students who were critically injured in today's shooting just 90 miles away at Evergreen High School. Gun violence in this country would never be normalized by a federal government that genuinely cares about their people, and those who perpetuate the normalization of gun violence in America do nothing but give way to this continuous cycle of hatred and fear. While the other news of today has completely changed the resolution we had planned to discuss tonight, it has not ended the forces and reasons that brought us all here. There is a growing tide of anger, division, hatred, and intolerance that is pulling at the very fabric of our country and our campus community. By not standing up to the spread of hatred in this country, we are unilaterally letting our student body down. So with that, I ask, if not today in Utah, what if this act of political violence happened on our campus and in front of our student body? What if it was a student of this university that was a target of a politically motivated attack? The emboldening of such speakers does not only disregard every single principle of community that this university created, but it gives way to the exact hatred that the federal government is perpetuating each and every day. To allow a platform to those who provoked violence for their entire lives, our university tells us that they believe more in protecting themselves over the safety of their student body. September 18th could very well have been a day on campus, just like Charlie Kirk's event in 2018, that found itself remembered for violence, hatred, and putting students in direct harm's way. I am not pulling this resolution today because I no longer denounce CSU putting federal pressures over the well-being of their students. I believe that we can create a stronger resolution that is not only timed better, but one that accomplishes much more for the student body that we are sworn to protect. Now, I would like to share a quote by then President Tony Frank from 2018 following the appearance of neo-Nazis on our campus. It's easy for those of us from a certain vantage point to dismiss extremist rhetoric as pathetic, ignorant, unworthy of our attention, but historical precedent is clear as to why that's a mistake. Such groups are insidious. They generally hide and grow in the dark, avoiding the direct light of day. And when these groups gain a foothold wherever there's one to be gained, the erosion of human decency quickly follows. End quote. So to our university's administration, I will now say, remember that the students are the lifeblood of your university. And when you bow down to forces in our nation that strive to do nothing but tear us apart, you are letting all of us down. By giving way to the tides of hatred in this country through many different instances we have seen since January, our university administration tells us that they care more about staying in Donald Trump's good graces than taking a stand for their student body. I urge our administration to remember what Tony Frank said 7 years ago and not let hatred and evil take root on our campus. Today's world informs us that this campus needs brave, passionate people to stand up against the darkness that so often tries to harm and divide us. To end my remarks, Victor Hugo once wrote, "Even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise." And I'm so grateful to begin creating that daylight with all of you here. Thank you.
Just as a note, we don't have a mic today, so anyone wishing to speak during gallery will be up at this front mic.
Hi everyone, I'm just here to talk a little bit about what is going on with the Department of Energy in Section 504. So back in May, the Department of Energy silently proposed to remove requirements that say that every building that receives federal funding to be built must be accessible to disabled people. These requirements were fought for by disabled people in the 70s. The ideas behind Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act is that as we continue to build new buildings, we become more accessible. This legislation has already been passed and in place for 42 years. The Department of Energy did not announce or hold any press conferences pertaining to this proposal. These actions undermine laws that aim to include disabled people not only in physical spaces, but in the conversations that happen within them. In this proposal, the Department of Energy claims that these requirements and regulations are outdated and are one-size-fits-all. Instead of advocating and requesting updated, more inclusive regulations, the Department of Energy has scrapped all of the regulations. And this will go into effect this Friday, September 12th. While this currently only applies to the Department of Energy, the passing of this proposal sets a standard that Section 504 does not apply to everyone and opens the door for other federal departments to revert and go back on the rules that Congress passed. Like, we are not doing these projects within CSU, and like, any department can go and do this within the government. Obviously, we are following the Department of Education, but like, we're watching this happen and other departments will follow.
This is much lighter of a note. Hello everyone, if you've not had the chance to meet me yet, my name is Killian Garnand. I use he, they pronouns, and I'm a current senator for the College of Natural Sciences. Right now, I also work for the Office of Admissions, and they wanted me to pass along a message to you all. They are currently hiring, the application just opened today on Handshake for admissions ambassadors. It's a position that is able to really make connections with all prospective students of CSU through events, campus tours, and a bunch of other meaningful ways. They specifically wanted a lot more people from the College of Natural Resources and CVMBS, but anyone with any major is encouraged to apply. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Also, Eveline and McAllister are also within this position as well, so they can answer any questions too. But yes, thank you.
Hi, we haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. My name is Nevaeh Green. I am a senator for the Pride Center, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about things that have been going on recently. I'm sure everyone is aware of what I'm talking about, but with recent executive orders, then everything's getting a lot more scary, and some of you probably don't know, but yesterday in a social work classroom, 2 police officers came in without a warrant or anything, and they were looking for a student, and they had not confirmed the student was there because they weren't. And I just wanted to let CSU know, if they're even listening, that that's not okay, and that you put a lot of fear into a lot of students. And the fact that they thought that was okay says a lot about our university, and it made me scared to walk out to my car because I know what's going on with like police and executive orders and all that stuff. So I just feel like we should be doing a bit better. So if you are coming from a place of privilege and you feel like that you are completely fine to go up to police, make sure you check on those who may not feel that way and just make sure that they're feeling safe. And if they're not, then maybe you could walk them to their car, or like even like make yourself like a barrier between them and the police if need be. But I just wanted to acknowledge that, and that a lot of students were scared, and a lot of students felt like they might be getting in trouble or be taken by people who might not want them in this country. And I just wanted to hold space for those students. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a former senator for the College of Business. I'm Micah Ziamati. And tonight I wanted to talk about what he talked about, hatred. I like to employ the classic definition that our mothers used to chide us with, or at least my mother, that to hate is to wish another person dead, which I'm sure all of our mothers used to follow up with, you know, you don't hate that, you strongly dislike that. Or again, at least my mother did. So today we saw this type of hatred in multiple instances. We saw it on a high school campus, I believe, and we saw it over at Utah Valley, and it honestly makes me tremble. I've never really liked Charlie Kirk as a political commentator, and I mean this completely genuinely ever since he came onto the political scene. But what's really ironic, and I think bitterly ironic, is that what Charlie Kirk was doing on college campuses was engaging with people he disagreed with. And yeah, he did that in a showy way, in a way that wasn't always productive. Maybe the lines got too long, I don't know, but at least he platformed people who he disagreed with. And then what the shooter did was the exact opposite of civil engagement. I mean, it was political violence. Ironically enough, a man who platformed his political opponents was shot by one of his political opponents who otherwise he might have actually given a platform to. And I just don't want this type of hatred to overtake us. Let's remember each other's humanity when you guys are politically disagreeing. Let's disagree respectfully. Let's love the people around us. Let's ask people who we disagree with about their families, about the things that they love, so that we can remember that they're not that different from us. Hatred warps your perspective in a way that's really dangerous, and I just don't want that to happen to us. I think that we should build a beautiful community here where we love each other and we care about each other and the things that are happening to each other. And I mean that for everyone, and by everyone I mean literally everyone. So I'd like to thank you and maybe share a little verse with you guys. But he who hates his brother is in darkness and walks in darkness, because the darkness has blinded his eyes. That's 1 John 2:11. And that is, hatred warps your perception of reality to the point where you can't see the truth, and your actions or your walk are influenced by your lack of vision. Let's just not let that happen to us. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Claire Pickerel, and I just wanted to announce real quick
that I'm working with Speaker Reese and Speaker Pro Tem Lutz on a piece of legislation about the updated free speech policy from the current CSU administration. Should you have not heard about that or you have questions about that, please come talk to me probably after session or shoot me an email. Claire.pickerel@colostate or however other format you might want to get a hold of me. Thanks a bunch. Appreciate you all.
Holy shit. Sorry, totally
Not Jermaine.
not Jermaine, might be guys. I just haven't seen her in like ages. We work together. My name is McAllister Johnson. Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh,
Hi.
hello. If you guys have not met me, I'm McAllister Johnson. I've been in the space for a hot minute, but I was gone last semester, so that's why I might appear to be a new face. This is a much, much lighter note. Sorority recruitment is this weekend, so that all of you know. So if that's not your thing and you're overwhelmed by that, maybe avoid campus. But if you are a young woman that might be interested in that, it's a great personal development opportunity to join. So highly recommend it. I'm in Chi Omega. So if you have any questions about sorority recruitment, let me know. But just letting everybody know that that's what's happening on campus this weekend. Thank you. Bye.
Many of you know me as the DEI committee chair, but today I speak simply as a student at Colorado State University. News of a death of a public, whoa.
Oh.
Spooky.
It
took down. Boom. I kind of like ours. Yeah,
So news of the death of a public speaker, Charlie Kirk, who was scheduled to visit our campus next week, weighs heavily on me. While I disagreed with Kirk's ideologies, my heart goes out to Kirk's family and the 3 students critically injured in the Evergreen High School shooting earlier today as well. My values are grounded in the belief that violence answered with more violence will only exacerbate its cycle. This is why I previously opposed inviting Kirk as a speaker to our campus. Not from fear of engaging in constructive dialogue, rather hyperbole of misinformation. I grieve for his children and hope they find healing, but I also call on us to widen our circles of empathy. If we mourn this loss, let us also mourn the countless lives lost in ICE detention centers, the LGBTQ plus community continually harassed for who they are, women denied autonomy over their choices, Gazan children devastated by war and continuing to lose their lives, and Israeli hostages who were killed or yet to be freed. Too often, marginalized people are asked to show empathy while receiving none in return. If we truly believe in valuing life, then we must value every life, even those we disagree with. Only then we can break the cycle of violence and begin to build a world rooted in justice, compassion, and dignity for all. Political violence is not always physical as well, and I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. I had some stuff written out, but I think I'll just keep it short. I just want to state, just how everyone else has been stating, violence, we can't fight violence with violence if we ever want peace. And I feel like I'm a huge advocate in that. And yeah, I think just to keep it short, there's this quote that I always follow by, en la que es, tú eres mi otro yo. Si te hago daño a ti, me hago daño a mí mismo. Si te amo y te respeto, me amo y me respeto a mí mismo. I am another you. You are another me.
If I do harm to you, I harm myself. If I love and respect you, I love and respect myself. Thank you.
Does anyone else from gallery wish to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into our guest speaker, which will be our Title IX training. I'm also going to send around in a form where you're going to put down your information so that we know that you've gotten this training. Awesome.
Am I loud enough that without the microphone people can hear me? Negatory. Okay, that's why I wanted to ask. Perfect. I have to hold it down the whole time? Okay, I move around a lot, so that's why I asked, but happy to do this. My name is Audrey Swenson. I use she, her pronouns. I serve as Associate Director in CSU's Office of Civil Rights Compliance, what has historically been the Office of Title IX Programs / the Office of Equal Opportunity. We're invited in annually, so some of you likely have heard from me before, but we're invited in annually to talk to you all about how to handle situations that may be related to sexual misconduct or relationship violence. As leaders identified in the community, there's a high likelihood that someone may approach you to share an experience that they've had because they identify you as being someone who can connect them with resources, can connect them with supports on campus to stop or prevent future behavior. And so we want to make sure that you have the tools that you all need in order to be responding to those situations. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Megan Skaggs. I use she, her pronouns, and I work at the SAFE Center. You may know us as maybe WGAC formerly, or Survivor Advocacy and Feminist Education. It is now Survivor Advocacy and Foundational Education Center. It's all the same office. It gets really confusing. But I'm one of the victim advocates. Usually we do this presentation with Title IX because often our offices kind of get conflated with one another. But we'll talk later about which resource you should go to, when to know when to report, when to come to us, things like that.
So really appreciating everything that you all shared kind of prior to this, and know that this is kind of a heavy topic to be following what was a heavy day. So apologies on timing for that. I didn't have control over that. And that said, if folks are needing time to take a second to step out, to get your breath, take a minute, please do that. You're not gonna offend either of us if you're stepping out of the room and then coming back in. I want you to take the space that you need to keep yourselves safe. And then I just always note on the front end, because sometimes questions come up, we can't discuss specific cases that may have been handled by our office or may currently being handled by our office. If folks have really, really specific process questions, I'm a big proponent of transparency, so we'll hang out for a minute afterwards. If folks want to come up and chat with us about kind of more specific process questions afterwards, we can do that. But I think long story short, really this is just intended to be an overview for you all. Under no expectations do we want you responding to situations that would fall under sexual misconduct or relationship violence. So if you walk away with nothing else, just remember that I'm here and that I exist to be a support for you as you're navigating situations of this nature. So our goals really are just, you all are so familiar with the resources on campus, we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but just want you to be able to identify kind of quickly what the resources at CSU are that make up our response to sexual misconduct and relationship violence. And then we'll just really kind of talk through response skills. You all are amazing people, it's why you're in the positions that you're in, and responding to someone who's disclosing trauma to you can be hard to hold, and so we'll kind of talk through some different ways that you can do that, and also resources that are available to you as well as other folks. We'll talk about the different types of situations that are addressed by our office, both of our offices, and the reason that we go into that a little bit more in depth, talking about the different types of violence that we respond to, is because
very rarely is someone gonna be coming up to you and stating, you know, I was sexually assaulted. That's not how disclosures are typically coming out. Folks are coming up to you and saying, you know, I had something that happened over the weekend, or I'm having this other interaction with a staff member in an office and I'm feeling uncomfortable, or I'm not really sure what happened, I can't remember a lot, but I know I don't feel good about it, right? So we wanna give you all a chance to kind of hear how disclosures are coming across, to hear about some of the trends that we're seeing on our campus from folks that are doing the work every single day, so that you all feel better equipped to recognize and respond to situations when they come up. And then the last piece that we'll go over is just what your reporting obligations are because of the positions that you hold and the responsibilities that come with that. These are terms that are going to come out of my mouth at some point in time, so I like to define them for folks on the front end. Our office is neutral. We work with all parties who are involved in a situation. So we work with folks who are reporting they've been harmed. We work with folks who are responding to allegations they've caused harm. We work with folks who witnessed something, and so you'll see that neutrality mirrored in the language that we use. We use complainant or impacted party, where Safe Center advocates might use victim or survivor. We use responding party or respondent for folks that are responding to allegations they've caused harm. So SAFE, again, might use offender, perpetrator, suspect, terms like that. Know that any meeting that folks have with staff in our office, they're entitled to have a support person present. And that can be anybody. It could be one of you very easily, right? Where someone comes up to you and says, hey, you know, I've got this meeting with Title IX and I'm feeling a little bit intimidated about it. Can you come in and just sit with me? And if that feels within your realm of comfort to provide that support, please know that you're very, very welcome. For most impacted parties, a support person is a confidential victim advocate out of our SAFE Center. We work very, very closely with SAFE. I think we're your #1 referral resource because we know the value in terms of connecting folks with support and an advocate as soon as possible after they've experienced something. So now that we've got a sense of what those terms are, I'm sure all of you are familiar, but Title IX is a federal law. It prohibits sex-based discrimination at educational institutions that are receiving any kind of federal funding. And so our office exists to ensure that the university is doing what it is supposed to be doing in terms of addressing incidents of violence that occur within our community, making sure that folks have the resources that they need to feel supported, that folks are aware of what their reporting options are, both through law enforcement and also through the university. So reporting through the university is separate and distinct from reporting through law enforcement. Folks may choose to report to both avenues. Folks may just choose to report to the university and our office. And so we ensure compliance through getting reports in from all over. When we get reports in, we're outreaching to folks with information. We're giving them an opportunity to meet and learn more. If they're wanting to move forward with action, our office houses a team of trained investigators who would conduct that investigation on behalf of the university. We have informal resolution options that we can facilitate for folks. So, you know, at our core, we're a compliance office, right? That's like why we exist. But for the folks that work in our office, there's a lot of different reasons that we do the work that we do. For us, it really comes down to the principles of community, right? Where if someone is experiencing an incident of relationship violence or sexual misconduct or sexual harassment, it can become a very tangible barrier to accessing educational opportunities and them being successful. And so for us, that is a big part of the work that we do, is in line with the university's principles of community. Do you want to talk about all the amazing things that your office does?
So at the SAFE Center, way too tall for this. We have like 2 branches that we usually talk about. So we have a programming branch as well as an advocacy branch, which I will be able to talk a lot more about the advocacy branch. But basically, the SAFE Center is one of the only places on campus that is completely confidential. So we do not report to any person, organization, entity. This was actually a recent change over the summer that happened where we do not report for abuses against minors or reporting harm against self or someone else. So we are the only place on campus that has full confidentiality. Our advocacy, we have a 24/7 hotline, so you can talk to a confidential victim advocate during business hours, so Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also text that hotline if you'd rather feel comfortable with texting someone. And then we also, like I said, is 24/7, so if after hours or like 4 AM you wanna talk to someone, maybe process, ask about reporting options, things like that, you can call our hotline. And then besides that, we also have in-person drop-in hours, so if you have someone that maybe you know has experienced something traumatic, you can tell them they can just stop into our office at Student Services and they get connected with an advocate immediately. Besides that, we also have counseling services on our advocacy side, so at the CSU Health Network, you may have used their general counseling services. With the Safe Center, we have counselors that are specific to interpersonal violence that we can get folks connected with. And then we have our programming side, so we have folks that talk about what does talk about consent look like, healthy relationships, boundaries. Maybe you've seen events like Take Back the Night, which is one of our biggest events, but just trying to talk about what having healthy relationships with yourself and with others looks like on campus. I'm sure y'all can talk to Olivia or Lauren about that. They know a lot more about programming than I do, to be honest. But besides that, we're open both in the LSC and the Student Services building, so I just like to make the big distinction that if you're wanting to be with community, maybe learn about programming, we're housed at the Laurie Student Center by Pride Center, but if you're wanting that confidential advocacy, we're in the Student Services building, which is by financial aid. And Title IX.
They're gonna be doing this. We get mixed up a lot because we both respond to the same types of behavior. But we serve and make up kind of a very, very different role in terms of the university's response and the role that we serve. So, our office is the reporting platform for if folks are wanting to see the university take action on something that occurred. As Megan shared, they're confidential, and so anything that's shared with advocates will stay with advocates. They're never gonna take action on it, they're never gonna share that information out elsewhere unless somebody's specifically asking them to do that. So that's a big kind of key component is if you all are in a position where you're needing to make a responsible employee report, do it to Title IX, don't do it to SAFE. We've already talked about, our office neutrality is core to the work that we do. Advocates are survivor focused, right? That is why they're there. That's why they exist, to be providing that support. Where SAFE is confidential, our office is private, meaning we do share some information out, but it is very, very limited and it is on a need to know basis. So if there's immediate safety concerns that we're needing to partner with different areas of campus on in order to address or mitigate those safety concerns, then we're sharing out limited information based on that. Or like if we've got a formal investigation going on, right, folks in that process need the information in order to facilitate the process, but there's no contacting like parents or faculty or like friends or anything like that. The other piece that's really big is our office exclusively holds the ability to place measures. And measures are intended to create space between parties. So at minimum, that typically looks like a no contact order, but we can go up from there depending on the information that we've received. So we work with folks all the time to come up with kind of really elaborate plans to get folks in and out of academic buildings without running into each other or in and out of residence halls. We can, in some cases, move someone to a different residence hall and relocate, or restrict someone from university property altogether if we've got enough concern about ongoing risk that they may present. But our office is the only office that has the ability to do that. So please know, even if you're going to professional staff that support ACSU and you're saying this person needs to be removed for whatever reason, that your professional staff will need to connect with our office before they can be making any decisions or taking any action to remove someone from an educational program or activity. Take some of the pressure off of you, Ollie. The last piece, and I already talked about this, but our office facilitates formal procedures, grievance procedures, and then SAFE, we already talked about a little bit, right, provides that ongoing advocacy and therapy, which is amazing. So these are kind of the broad buckets that both of our offices respond to. And as I mentioned, we'll walk through and kind of define these for folks. We use like the really broad umbrella terms, sexual misconduct, relationship violence. These are the specific behaviors that we're referring to when we use those broad umbrella terms. So both of our offices respond to any type of non-consensual sexual contact. So that could include unwanted kissing, unwanted sexual intercourse, Maybe someone's riding a bus around campus, and they're groped on an intimate body part. Or, we talk with, like intramural sports or student athletes, and we talk about nut tapping in a locker room as an example of non-consensual sexual contact. Any situation where consent is in question can be reported to our office. So that could be due to coercion, rape, pressure. It could be due to incapacitation, someone's asleep, someone's been using substances, things like that. All of that can be reported to our office. Resources can be accessed through SAFE for those components. We also respond to allegations of stalking. So stalking, to kind of get to the core details of it, it's a pattern of behavior. It's targeted at a specific person, and you all are likely not going to be privy to all of that. Somebody's not going to come in and say, on this day this happened, and this day this happened. But what you are going to be able to recognize is the impact. So they're telling you, I am feeling afraid, and I need somebody to walk me out to my car because my ex has been leaving gifts on my car and we're like leaving late at night and I'm afraid they're gonna be out there, right? So they're talking about somebody else's behavior is impacting their sense of safety. It's causing them to feel fear. Stalking can show up in so many different ways, so it's really hard to tell you this is specifically what you should look for with stalking. I would say like some trends that we're seeing is more digital stalking occurring than necessarily in person. Stalking is typically coming out of an interpersonal relationship, so either stalking's occurring within the romantic or the dating relationship through like monitoring a partner through like a social media app like Snapchat or Life360, things like that. So typically coming out of an intimate relationship, but we are, I would say, kind of seeing a trend with more stranger-based stalking just because of how much information is out about us online. It's really easy for folks to get a lot of information about where we are, what we do, where we spend our time, where we live, where we eat, all of those different things. It's really easy for folks to get that information now, and unfortunately misuse it. Is there anything else you'd add on that? Okay. Stalking can get very dangerous very quickly. So if you have concerns about stalking going on, just connecting folks with our office sooner rather than later, and that can be either of our offices, so that we can start to engage them in some safety planning to start to de-escalate the risk. Relationship violence, both of our offices work with a lot of different types of relationship violence. I think physical abuse is what comes to mind for folks most often, but typically relationship violence is not starting as physical abuse, right? It's starting as more emotional or more verbal abuse. So that could be like name calling, put downs, gaslighting. Folks who've heard me speak before, I talk a lot about one of the trends that we're seeing is a lot of emotional abuse presenting as like a mental health concern, kind of on a couple different fronts. So if someone's experiencing gaslighting in their relationship, they may feel like they're going crazy, right? Like they don't feel like they can trust their own sense of reality. And they reach out to you all to be like, I'm struggling, I need support here. Like I don't really know what's going on, but I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling like myself. So being mindful if someone's reaching out to you for mental health support, is there something else that's going on that may be contributing to how they're feeling? Inversely, we're seeing folks who are maybe perpetuating harm in that relationship, using their own mental health as a means to control their partner's behavior. So if you leave me, I'm going to end my life, or you left me alone in the room too long, I'm gonna hurt myself while you're gone, right? So using their own kind of mental state, like blowing up their partner's phone with like 50 text messages to say like, you need to come back, I can't be here alone, things like that. Academic abuse is really just anything that can negatively impact somebody's academics. So, I'm thinking about in like the COVID age more so, but I know a lot of folks are still taking proctored exams online. Maybe a partner tells them, I don't trust you to be in a computer. I don't trust you to be in a room with a computer alone by yourself. How do I know you're not cheating on me? And so their partner insists on being in the room while they're taking that proctored exam, and they fail an exam because the computer registers there's somebody else in the room, right? So those would be examples of like behavior where somebody's controlling their partner's behavior, and it's having a detrimental impact on academics. Financial abuse could be, causing someone to lose a scholarship by impacting their academics. It could be calling their employer, spreading rumors, trying to get them fired so they can't support themselves financially. You all see like a lot of stuff through apps. Do you have specific examples that come to mind?
With financial.
Yeah. Or just financial, yeah. I'm putting you on the spot.
You're
Sorry, so sorry.
With financial, lately we've seen a lot with actually like Venmo scams are one that I've seen a lot. I think over the summer, I wanna say I worked with like 10 or 20 people who got scammed by someone they knew often actually, where they would use like Venmo apps as a means to like get in contact with them. Like oftentimes we see folks block on like Instagram or iMessage or phone. So folks will use money as a way to stay in contact with folks. And we also know people will, for example, marginalized folks who maybe need money will then be exploited by perpetrators, right? So they use money as like a means of power and control to keep someone in their life, things like that. We're also seeing it a lot with folks who identify as immigrants, where we're seeing a lot of financial abuse happen. So for example, if someone needs like a visa or green card, that's like a sense of financial abuse of like kind of holding a job over someone's head with their immigration status being at risk is something we've seen a lot.
And the last piece here, just to touch on quick, so being in a relationship is not a free pass for consent. So any type of non-consensual sexual activity that's occurring in a relationship is something that we would look at for sexual abuse. We work with a lot of sexual exploitation, and I feel like this is one area I've seen an uptick in. And again, thank you, technology. But predominantly, through like the distribution, non-consensual distribution of intimate photos. So that could be maybe folks consensually exchange intimate photos in a relationship and that relationship ends, or one partner gets mad and sends out those photos without consent. Or we're seeing sextortion, so folks may meet someone online and share an intimate photo, and then that person online turns out not to be who they thought they were, and we'll tell them, send me $400, or I'm going to drop this photo on your friend list to everyone you know. So that can be really, really kind of upsetting place for someone to be. We work with, any type of non-consensual observation where there's an expectation of privacy. That could be through a window in a residence hall. It could be through a recording device in like a bathroom or a locker room. We work with exhibitionism, so exposing intimate body parts in public, consuming pornography in proximity to others. All of those would be examples of sexual exploitation that can be reported to either of our offices. Quid pro quo is a specific type of sexual harassment, where there's, a perceived or actual power imbalance, and the person who's in that position of authority states, either you engage in a sexual relationship with me or a sexual act, and there's potential rewards in that for you, or there could be repercussions if you're choosing not to engage in that. More often than not, we're dealing with hostile environment sexual harassment, which is a pattern of behavior that the federal government has determined to be so severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive, it's a tongue twister, that it denies that access to educational programs or activities, which please know we, our institution apply that really broadly because we think that learning happens in these spaces, it happens in the residence halls, it happens in intramural sports, it's not just happening in a classroom, right? So all of those protections are extending to those places. And a caveat, so if behavior is not kind of hitting that federal definition, because they have set a really high threshold under the most recent federal regulations, that doesn't mean that the university is not going to do something. We will still address it. We just have different tools that we'll address it with, like our student conduct code or other university policies, things like that. So that's a piece I always like to be clear with folks about. The last piece I want to touch on is, just iterating that reporting is a right. Engaging with our office, engaging in an investigative process is a protected right. We want folks to feel safe and comfortable engaging in that. And I think where folks get tripped up a lot is those protections extend to everyone who's engaged in the process. So someone who's wanting to report that they've been harmed, someone that's wanting to maybe participate as a witness and speak to harm that they observed, or folks that are responding to allegations that they have caused harm, right, and have due process rights. And so just kind of some tips for you all in navigating that. We would encourage you to refrain from contacting a respondent. It can preemptively place a respondent on notice that a report has been received before we have a chance to place safety measures that would prohibit, any type of retaliatory behavior towards an impacted party. And then, remember that your role as senators or the different positions that you hold is to be supporting the students that are coming to you, like seeking to access resources, regardless of kind of what role they're coming in, right? Your role first and foremost is to represent the students that you're here to serve. And then maintaining privacy, and I cannot speak to this one enough ever in any spaces, because so often what I see is, someone will disclose something to you and it's heavy and it's hard to hold. And so you go to one other person and you share that information with them, thinking that it's gonna stay with them, right? They're not gonna tell anybody. You've asked them not to tell anybody. But now they're holding really heavy, hard information. And so they go and tell one other person. And pretty soon we've got a whole group of people that have really personal, private details about someone's lived experience, and that is absolutely, absolutely not something that we want. So, want to acknowledge, right, that receiving a disclosure can be hard, and would ask that you contact SAFE, right, if you're finding that you need to be processing with someone, because you know that any information that you share with a SAFE advocate will stay with them. They're never going to share that out anywhere else. So then we're doing everything that we can to protect folks' privacy. So where does your role fit in the process? As an institution, we can only respond to what we're aware of, and we really depend on our community to keep us informed if there are safety concerns in our community, or if there are folks that are struggling and need resources. We want to know about that. And so for that reason, all folks that are in an employee role or a leadership role for the institution have this responsibility to report to our office any behavior that might fall into those categories we just talked about of sexual misconduct, relationship violence. The other component I always just highlight, because I think it's helpful, please don't report people's pregnancies to me. I don't want them reported. It's not something that's reportable. But I do want you to tell them that if their pregnancy, loss of pregnancy, termination of a pregnancy is proving to be a barrier to their accessing educational opportunities, I want you to know that please let them know they have resources, that they can connect with our office and we can facilitate accommodations or supports. But don't call me and report that somebody's pregnant, please. These are frequently asked questions that we get, so I'm just gonna run through them really quick, and if there's any other lingering ones, happy to address those. For us, it doesn't matter when something occurred, if it was 5 minutes ago or if it was 5 years ago, we still want it reported to our office. For those of you that maybe have heard me talk about before, can anyone speak to why we would wanna know about something that maybe happened prior to a student's experience at CSU? Yeah, go for it.
If someone has done something
Mike,
over and
Mike.
over.
If a student has a past history of sexual misconduct.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there any kind of pattern behavior that we should be aware of? Is there maybe ongoing behavior, like stalking started in high school and then both students came here on campus and there's still ongoing safety concerns? Yeah, that's definitely part of it, absolutely. Other thoughts? Yeah.
I mean, it's probably still to some extent impacting them emotionally and physically in all of the different ways, so finding any support is probably beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. What we know is that trauma impacts folks over long periods of time. And so someone may have experienced something in high school that they're still navigating triggers around that make it hard to focus, hard to feel like they can get out of bed. Another component of what we see often is maybe folks were experiencing abuse in their home, and when they come to campus, it's the very first time that they have a safe space to be able to recognize that what was happening in their home was not okay, and that they can report safely, right, something that was happening. So from our end, we want to make sure we're getting them plugged in with resources. We want to make sure they're aware of their reporting options if that's something that they're wanting to engage in. It doesn't matter for me that it happened prior to CSU. Doesn't matter for us if behavior happens on or off campus, we still want it reported. Even if you feel like you have limited information about something that happened, maybe somebody comes in and says, I was at this event last weekend and I saw one person push their partner in the plaza. And so you don't know the name of the person that was pushed, you don't know the name of the person who, did the pushing, but you have the name of a witness, right? Somebody who watched that happen in an event in the plaza. And on our end, what may have happened is, we got a police report. We know the names of the parties involved. And now because of the report that you've submitted to our office from a disclosure, we know the name of a witness to an incident. And that's huge. So please, please never undervalue the information that you have, if even a small component of it is related to sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, relationship violence. Go ahead and submit it to us. Doesn't matter for us if a party's not affiliated. I know a couple years ago, for those of you that were around, right, the clearing notifications went out about somebody outside the residence halls masturbating. Those are typically not folks that are affiliated with our community. They're coming in from the outside community, and they do a lot of harm while they're here. So we still want that reported. We still want to know about that so we can be supporting that residential community that's been impacted. If you're getting kind of new information or updates about a situation, go ahead and continue to submit new incident reports to us. That way we can make sure we're responding to the most up-to-date concerns in terms of resources that folks may need or safety. It's not unusual at all that a party may start a conversation with you with, I have something I want to talk about, but can you please keep it confidential? That should be a flag for you of, I need to let this person know, as gently as I can, that I have reporting obligations, because you all are not confidential. Advocates are confidential. They go through 45 hours of training to hold that legal privilege of confidentiality. So confidentiality is not something that you all, right, have because somebody asks you just to keep something confidential. You can keep it private and not talk to a ton of people about it, but confidentiality is that legal privilege. Maybe somebody says they're already working with Title IX or police, still go ahead and make a report to our office because they may share different information with you than we were previously aware of. Doesn't matter for us if a responding party is an employee or a student, we would still take it. Doesn't, same thing, impact a party if they're an employee, we would still take that report, and that's another acronym. And maybe one senator already made a report and then another senator, receives a disclosure from the same person. I would want reports from both of you. And the reason that is because they may have shared different information with each of you, and it's only with getting reports from everybody that we've got the kind of full perspective on what the concerns are. So we ask that reports be made to our office within 24 hours because we are often responding to immediate or imminent safety concerns. The reporting form is super easy to find. It's on our website. If you're not sure about whether or not something should be reported, just give me a call. And I mean that with all sincerity. Just call the Title IX line and be like, I think I'm a responsible employee. Would this need to be reported? You can also have that conversation with SAFE, and they'll direct you, to our office. And then we would have you just fill out that report online if after a hypothetical conversation we figured out, right, this is something that needs to be reported. What should be reported? The short answer is everything. The name, any information that you have, there's nothing that we can leave out. The reporting form does ask at the end, did you let this person know that you're going to be submitting a report? And if you haven't had a chance to do that yet, we will hold our outreach to them until you've had a chance to follow up with them. And the reason for that is I don't want to cause additional harm. And when I'm calling someone to say, hey, I got this information, and they're like, how did you get this information? Does everybody have this information? That does not go well in terms of building trust. It goes a lot better when they know that there's going to be an outreach from me, and then they get those resources, they're expecting it, right? That goes 100 times better. So Please let folks know that you have reporting obligations. You can do that on the front end, right? If you get a sense that a conversation's heading a specific way. This is kind of template language if it's helpful, but at the end of the day, just use language that feels authentic to you, because at the end of the day, they're coming to you, they're not coming to me, right? So trust the relationship that you have with this person, thank them for trusting you with the information that they are disclosing, and let them know, either I want to be here to support you, and so what that looks like is I'm going to connect you with this other office that can kind of better let us know what your reporting options are or what your resources are. I know the word report carries some heavy connotations, in particular at this point in time, right, depending on identities that folks hold. And so if you prefer not to use the word report, that's fine with me. I just want them to know that information is going elsewhere and they're gonna get an outreach from our office. At that point, let them decide if they want to keep talking to you. More often than not, they will, because they've come to you for a reason in the first place. But if they decide, okay, cool, I think I'm done talking to you and I'd rather connect with a confidential advocate at this point in time, that's okay. We've served our purpose of informing them, empowering them to make that decision for themselves. Go ahead and submit the report with the information that you have. And then, okay, questions to ask are just, what do you need? How can I support you? Anything along those lines. Do you want to talk about how to support the human in front of you?
So oftentimes when we're talking to like mandatory reporters, responsible employees, is everyone in this room a responsible employee? I don't know how up to date it is. Yes. Okay, I'm getting head nods. We're often asked if someone discloses something traumatic to me, how can I support them, right? And so we usually give folks this acronym BEST as just like a quick go-to on someone said something to me, what can I do in this moment? And we're not expecting y'all to be their counselor to fix it. A lot of times folks don't want it to be fixed, they just want someone to hear them out. And so we're not expecting y'all to like save the day, right? We just want y'all to get that person the support they need in that moment and to get them connected to like resources, for example. So for BEST, the first thing is just believe, and it might seem a little bit silly that first and foremost you just tell someone, I believe you, but it's actually really impactful to tell a survivor of interpersonal violence, state-based violence, anything like that, that you believe the harm they experienced is real. A lot of times folks are, like we talked about, gaslit, so they were told their reality isn't actually what their perception is. Or we have like a lot of policies, or the government, or like our social circles might be telling these folks that it's not what they experienced, or they come up with excuses, or like interrogation. So just telling someone that you believe what happened to them is really impactful. The next is just empowering someone. So oftentimes we say this is just kind of synonymous with choice, right? So for example, if you get disclosed something and you have to report it to Title IX, maybe give them some options so it feels like they have some autonomy in the process. So like Audrey was saying, you just disclosed this. I talked about I am a mandatory reporter. Do you want me to sit with you while we make this Title IX report? Do you want me to be with you when they call? Do you want us to do the outreach? Do you want me to walk you over to the Safe Center to talk with an advocate? So just giving them some sort of choice in a time where they feel like they don't have a lot of options is also really impactful. And then the third one is just support, and oftentimes we hear from responsible employees or even just like friends, roommates, whatever, that this is the hardest one. Because sometimes we don't know how to support someone when they're in crisis or experiencing something traumatic. And this can look really different depending on the person you're talking to. So I know for some folks, what does support look like? Maybe it's just letting them vent and you listen to them. Maybe support looks like making them like a really good meal. Maybe support is watching like really shitty reality TV or something. I just feel like, we know each other best, we can lean into each other. How does support show up for one another? Or, like Audrey was saying, once you maybe report to Title IX, that doesn't mean their trauma or any feelings are just gonna go away. So checking in on them like a week later or saying, how do you want me to check in on you? So a lot of times when maybe you have to make a Title IX report, a lot of folks really appreciate being like, okay, I'm gonna make this report, but do you want me to check in on you in a week and ask about what happened? Yes, no. If they say no, okay, back off. But if they say yes, maybe a week later, hey, I'm here, just let me know and I'm here to support you. And sometimes that's just all folks need to hear is that there's someone there for them. And then the last one is just talking about resources and talking about Title IX. So of course, talking about what the reporting options are, but also Maybe if something happened that impacted their basic needs. So talking about how can we get you safe housing? How can we get you food? How can I make you feel comfortable in this moment? Outside of also just talking about reporting options. And like you said, I'm not expecting y'all to be experts in this, so y'all are welcome to reach out to our office or even talk to Title IX. I know a lot of folks will call Title IX and just say, hypothetically this happened, what are some resources I can give them? But we can also help with that, right? So just making sure that they feel comfortable and can be like the best versions of themselves, because at the end of the day, we just want y'all to thrive, be successful, and be comfortable. So just making sure that they have all of their needs met so they can go forward.
Would note taking care of yourself too. As we talked about earlier, receiving disclosures can be hard. You may start to experience trauma symptoms yourself. Vicarious trauma is real, right? You might have nightmares, you might start to feel hypervigilant. So know that all the resources that are available to the person you're supporting are also available to you. Pardon me. The other piece that I would note on support is it can be challenging in situations where maybe we don't agree with the decision that someone else has made for themselves, in particular around reporting. Reporting is a very personal decision. There are a lot of reasons why folks may choose or choose not to report and take action on something. And as a third party on the outside, that can be really hard for us to understand. But at the end of the day, our role is just to support the decision that they have made for themselves because they're in that position and it's the best decision for them. Confidential resources on campus. So the only spaces on campus that are confidential, right, are the Safe Center, CSU Health Network, Student Legal Services is not on here, but I was throw that in. Private offices, our office, which is still in the process of a name change. It hasn't officially launched yet, so that's why you see 6 different versions of it on here. Student case management and Tell Someone are private resources, but they're not confidential, so they both do have reporting obligations to our office. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of wrap up here. I'm a big proponent of transparency. I want folks to know and understand how our process works because I think misinformation can be a barrier, right, to folks getting the support that they need or resolution options. And so when reports come into our office, the first thing that we're doing is we're reaching out to the person who has been impacted or is identified as being impacted to say, hey, we're here. These are resources that are available to you. Do you want to meet to talk more about your reporting options that are available? What are kind of barriers that you're navigating right now? How can we provide some support around that? If someone meets with me to talk about their reporting options, they don't have to move forward with anything after that. A meeting with me does not obligate them to be engaging further. Someone doesn't have to respond to our outreach either. They don't have to respond to our email or our phone call. That is 100% their prerogative. If we don't hear back from someone based on our initial outreach, we'll typically follow up with them within a couple of days to a week, depending on the kind of urgency of the information that we have. Just to say, in case you missed that email, we're still here. And then if we don't hear back from someone still, we will close out information in our office. We'll let the person know that we're closing out. And when I say close out, what that means is it's not deleted. It's not like it goes away and it never comes back. But it lives in our records. And so if at any point in time someone is wanting to move forward with taking action, we can do that as long as the responding party is still affiliated with the university in some capacity. And so that's not unusual in terms of what we see, where we have folks that maybe something happens within their first couple weeks on campus. And you think about how much students are navigating at that point in time in their life, right? First year incoming students. They are not in a place to think about taking on a reporting process often. And so we may close things out in our office and then 3 months, 4 years later, they're following up with us and saying, I've worked with an advocate, I'm feeling good, I want to reopen my case, I want to move forward at this point in time, and we can do that. We can facilitate formal resolution, formal investigation or informal resolution options, or sometimes folks will just ask our office for a referral. So I just want to be connected with an advocate and I don't want anything else to do with you, and that's fine. I just want you to share information with police about this stalking that I've been experiencing. That way, if there's another incident that happens, I'm not having to explain to an officer everything that's been going on They're just gonna have the information so that they can respond and it can be done. The caveat that I wanna offer here is because of how our office locks information down when it comes in, we are taking every step possible to protect folks' privacy. What that can look like to folks on the outside is that our office is not doing anything, and it keeps me up at night. So I think a lot of times when a report is received by our office, folks are expecting like big action, right? That somebody's immediately removed or that there's some big public statement. And that's not often how things unfold in reality, right? So we're reaching out to someone, and sometimes we're working with them for months, building trust, building relationship before they realize that they're in a place where they're ready to engage in a reporting process. Or maybe we reach out to someone and they say, you know, if you take action on this, you're gonna actually increase my safety. I don't want that. It's gonna be worse for me if you take action on this, so please close it. And we're gonna honor that request, right? Or we've got an investigation that's going on, and we're not gonna share that publicly because it's folks' private information, it's a private record. So we've got an investigative process that's going on, but where other folks are not privy to that. So long story short, please know that we are taking action on every single report that is received by our office. That it's not like lost or being buried away or like anything weird like that. Okay, I'm gonna end here. These are just kind of recommendations that I think both of us have. For things that we see people doing that are really, really well intended and cause a lot of harm. So we would ask that you not investigate. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Investigating can mean asking somebody who's been impacted lots of questions, which puts them in a position of having to recount details of their experience, which can be really re-traumatizing for them. It may put them in a position where they're sharing more information than they wanted to because they want to be helpful for you, but they didn't really want to be sharing that information. Our really well-intended questions may land poorly because folks who've experienced harm tend to internalize a lot of blame and responsibility. And so my innocent question around, sorry, I keep catching you. My innocent question around, well, like, had you been out with other people that night? Had you had anything to drink? I'm just trying to understand in my brain, like the situation, but it might land as I am placing the responsibility for what happened on the person who experienced the harm. And I know for all of you, that's never something that you're wanting to communicate. Lastly, it can interfere with our process in terms of an investigation, our ability to take action on something. So long story short, please do not be investigating. I know that Title IX situations are often the exception to how a lot of other things are handled. And then these other components we've really talked about already in terms of not contacting a respondent, not sharing information outside of required reporting structures or involving more people. What questions do you all have? Yes.
What would you do if like a third party reached out to you and was like, or reached out to one of us and was like, I saw this happen or something, like, would you report that? I don't know, how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say still go ahead and report it to our office because they may have reached out to you as a third party, identifying you as someone who's in a position to report what happened or to help provide guidance or resources, or there's likely a very intentional reason that they've reached out to you to share that. And so I would say go ahead and report it. Yeah, good question. Others? We'll hang out here for a minute, but I'm sure you all will pick up business and carry on. So thank you for having us in. We appreciate it.
Cool, thank you so much. With that, we'll be moving into our executive report. So if anyone from executive wishes to speak, please come to the front.
Hello, my name is Reese Clovenez. I'm the Assistant Director of Academic Innovation. One of the dope parts about my role is I get to appoint people for faculty, council committees, and undergraduate representation. I filled about 2 or 3 of the positions. There's about 5 left, but this is a room of some really dope people. So if you're interested, I think there's a university policy and programming committee, strategic planning, strategic financial planning as well, a whole bunch of stuff, some super dope positions. But it's a really cool way I feel that the university gives voice to undergraduate folks and people on the campus. So if you're interested, let me know. I have office hours 2 to 4 tomorrow, so I'll be in the building. If not, email the ASCSU academics email. If you see me just walking around, come up to me. Hey, receive a friend referring to me. I'm here. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi there, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Felicity, I'm the Director of Governmental Affairs. I just want to say, like, a lot of things are weighing heavy this past week, and for a multitude of reasons. There's a lot of things going on, whether it be events today or also Supreme Court cases that have been passed in the past couple of weeks. Those can really disproportionately affect folks, and I just wanted to, hold space for that. I don't want to say too much about that because I feel like it's been pretty well versed in gallery input and stuff, but I do want to say that if you are feeling impacted by any of this at any point, also saying that like all of these are very intricate situations that we can't solve in one day, and we can't solve with one solution either. They're not black and white. Our world is very gray. So keep that in mind when you're considering things like this. We can't necessarily say it's one way or the other, or it's my way or the highway. We have to work together. But as I digress, there's a lot of resources out there that can help you if you're feeling affected, and I'm just going to go through those really quick. We have the Safe Center for Confidential Advocacy in Title IX, which you both heard we heard from both offices today. Student Legal Services for discrimination processes, immigration, housing, etc. Rams Against Food Pantry and the Pocket Pantry. So we have the General Pantry in General Services buildings and then Pocket Pantries all over. Student Case Management and the Health Network, putting those together because they can really help you in creating a plan specifically academically and accommodations wise if you should need them. And also with the Health Network, they can help with ongoing mental health support. Student Resolution Services helps with small conflicts between CSU members. And then Vindicate Foods and Larimer County Food Bank in Boca Cafe. These are all pay as needed grocery stores and restaurants off campus that can help people facing food insecurity. You can also reach out to me or Lauren, our Director of Basic Needs, if you ever need some support with those things. One last update regarding Gov Affairs operations in general. Oh, we got a little close. We had a really great meeting today, goal setting, some things. If you ever want to see some of our individual goals, we actually have them displayed in our office. Hold us to those, and we'll be goal setting every month, and they'll be in our office all the time. Our office hours are also posted on a whiteboard, but I'll work on making that on a poster. And then regarding interns at the moment, if you have anyone that is looking for being an intern for Gov Affairs, we're actually gonna hold off on that. We won't be accepting interns until October. If they have a special project that they have in mind, and they just need somewhere to pursue it, and want someone to just be like a mentor per se, tell them to reach out to me sooner rather than later, because that's a little bit of a different situation, and I can work them with the department, hopefully mid to late September, just because the more interns we have, it's a little harder to complete some of the tasks that we're really hoping to do, because we're gonna lock in October. So that's the context behind that. But yeah, that's all I have.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew White. I'm the Chief of Operations for the Executive Branch for those who don't know me. I'm going to start by saying thank you all for being here. I know life is tough and there's a lot, and I know this is late at night, so thank you. I also want to, not necessarily remind, but just bring awareness that we're all students and people first, and we all have a lot of stuff going on externally too, and so I think being kind and aware and taking care of ourselves is really important. A couple of executive updates I have. Organizational wellness is a project we did last year in the executive branch, and I really want to involve all branches and essentially what it is like a benefits package that takes care of your employment, your work here at ASCSU. There's gonna be different like vendors and deals that we're gonna be working on to provide students. Last year for the Executive Academy, we launched like a no contact week where people could take a week off and kind of just take care of them in that regard. So if there's anything in the legislative branch that you guys think would be great, I think I would love insight, love collaboration. I'll be working with your branch leaders to kind of share our ideas, and so I wanted to kind of plant that seed, so my office is always open for you guys to share. I have 2 new interns that I'm getting ratified tonight. I'm super excited. They're going to be incredible, so I want to thank you guys for doing that. And I also want to shout out the Board of Student Organization Funding. We're open and accepting applications, so if you guys have RSOs on campus that you want to get funding for an event, it's a really great resource. Travel Grant is also under that compass, so if you want to travel for anything related to your education to enhance that, that's also an opportunity available. A lot of the logistics are on our website under funding information, under BSOF Board of Student Organization, under Travel Grant, so look into it. It's a super, super cool opportunity. And then finally, I saw some of you guys at Cabinet today earlier, 5 to 6. I would love for you all to show up at least some point. You're more than welcome, you're more than invited. We'd love to see you there. We'd love to make it as interactive as possible. So if you have feedback for something you'd like to do, at some point we're going to have your branch leaders present to us. We're going to kind of get that worked out. So just wanted to formally extend that invite again to you all. Again, thank you guys all for being here.
Does anyone else from executive wish to speak? Awesome, with that, we'll go ahead and move into our judicial reports.
Hi everyone, my name is Melanie. I'm the Chief Justice for the Supreme Court this year. I don't have any announcements. The first thing is that elections is hiring. There's 2 positions. There's election manager and election engagement officer. Election manager is more like the process. They head the committee, a lot of rules and regulations, while engagement officer is strictly about marketing and getting more candidates and getting more votes. So if you know anyone who would be interested, please tell them to apply. It closes next Tuesday, end of day at 5 p.m. If you think that it would be nice for me to reach out to them, just give me their email and I will try to get them into the application. Next thing is I will be presenting to the Senate in 2 weeks now about everything about the court. So if you're interested in that, please come and see, and all your questions and everything that we do can be answered then. And then finally, I just really wanted to reiterate that the court is here as a resource. We are confidential, we are impartial, so although we cannot reaffirm anything or be a sounding board, we can listen. Sometimes it's really hard to talk to your peers that you work with or talk to your superiors who are your boss, whereas the court understands what's going on. They can be there to listen without actually working with you guys like directly one-on-one. So if you guys ever want to talk or are put in a comfortable situation, you can always direct someone to come to the court. Yeah, please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. With that, we'll be moving into the legislative reports, starting with officer reports. Hi, everyone. First and foremost, I wanted to address the events of today and the events of this week and the culture that's sort of curated. First and foremost, always, the exec went over a good amount of your resources. If you feel any confusion in terms of navigating those resources, I'm also a resource for you, as well as our advisor, Julie Pratt. She's really cool. So don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to rely on the community that we have here. Additionally, in terms of partisan legislation, I just wanted to re-emphasize that the legislation that was pulled was not pulled because of the content of the legislation. It was pulled because of the timing of the legislation. It is historically valuable, historically foundational to ASCSU that we have partisan legislation. So if you feel inclined to write partisan legislation, do not be afraid to write partisan legislation. Other than that, if you're new, if you could come up to me, our recruitment and retention officer is out for today. Miss you, Farron, shout out. So just come up to me so that we can exchange contact info. Also, if you just don't have my contact info, feel free to come up after session. With that, other officers?
Hi everyone, a few things to go over today. I'm Ellie, I'm the speaker pro tem for, you all know me. Anyways, don't get strikes, please. I beg of you, don't. Committee strikes will be starting to count as of today. So between now and next Senate, you're expected to go to at least one committee. You don't have to apply for membership, you don't have to ask for membership, you just show up to the committee. And you get on the attendance and that counts. The times for all committees are in the Teams. If you don't know them, or if you don't know where to find them, you can ask someone with a funny green placard, and we should have that information for you. Also, caucuses do not count for your committee hour. If you want me to further elaborate on that, please find me after, or get my attention, tell me to go leave the room, like, happy to do so. Office hours will not start this week, but the following week, so we can kind of just ease into everything. A form has been sent out previously in the Teams, but I will send out that form again, because I know it's hard to find stuff in Teams. So I will send that out again closer to when that starts. Don't get strikes, don't get strikes, don't get strikes, please, I beg of you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So, I'm pretty sure I've met about everyone in here, but in case I haven't, my name is Gio. I'm your parliamentarian. Obviously, I take care of the tech stuff and some of the archive bits. But this is mainly for the new folks in here, which congratulations, by the way. If you're at all unfamiliar with how we do parliamentary procedure here, our motions and the like, and this goes for anyone if you have any further confusion on it, please just approach me, either after this or you can find me in the office most days. Otherwise, I second what they said. Thank you.
Are there any other officers that wish to report? Officers, that means Diana, yes or no? Okay, cool, yeah. With that, we'll now be moving into committee and caucus reports by first raise placard. Once I say first raise placard again, because you all lifted it before I was done talking. 1, 2, 3, go. Yes, Lee.
Hello, hi. So we had our first committee this Monday, yay. Thank you to everyone who showed up. We pushed back, we were supposed to look at bylaws, but we're pushing them back until this upcoming Monday. So yes, I will also be making homemade cookies. So if you wanna try my famous recipe, they're cheesecake cookies. So yes, come to committee if you wanna try them. And just to reiterate, it's Monday, 1 to 2. So see y'all there, thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Onti.
Hi y'all, so students of the Old Caucus officially has a time that we're going to be meeting. Thank you, all 8 of you who filled out the when to meet. So we will be meeting in the conference room Monday from 12 to 1 o'clock. So after you come to my caucus, you can immediately go to Yoselin's University Affairs Caucus committee. So yeah, and yeah. We will be meeting next week, and that is when I will be presenting the newly formed bylaws. So I would really like it if a lot of you showed up so we can actually vote on it, so it doesn't have to be pushed back. On a secondary note, I also have created an official Instagram, and I'm figuring out TikTok. So if you want to follow that, just look up ASACU Students of the Oval Caucus. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chair Hill.
Hi, I don't know if this is in the Teams yet, but the Women in Social Justice Caucus will be meeting from 1 to 2 p.m. on Thursdays. Meeting room TBD, but hopefully in the conference room if there's availability. Again, I will update it in the Teams when I find out. I believe that's it. Yeah, please come.
Thank you. I wrote chair lots, that's outdated. Speaker pro tem lots.
Everyone, I'm giving a report on behalf of Chair Gilroy of the Internal Affairs Committee. Please come to internal Fridays at 10 in the conference room. You'll be hearing from me again in just a second. I yield.
Chair Casada.
Hello guys, we also had our first committee meeting on Monday as well. I just wanted to give a little shout out to our social media and outreach officer that got voted in, which is Selena, Senator Selena. So congrats, yes. Woo. We did have a tie for vice chair, so we are going to try again next committee meeting. And since we didn't really have that many people, I wanted to wait for our bylaws as well. So next Monday, we will also be voting on our bylaws, so please come, again, 3 to 4 on Mondays. And then we tabled the bill due to format ineligibilities. I'm not sure exactly if that was the proper way of saying it.
There were some issues, so it was held in committee, and it'll be revisited and go through the proper channels over the course of this next week, correct?
Yes, thank you so much, Brooke. And that was it. I digress. I yield, I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
And real. Are there any other chairs that wish to speak? Coolio. With that, we'll now enter Senator and Associate Senator reports by first race placard. Yoselin.
Hello. Sorry, it's me again. But on a more serious note, hi everyone. Earlier, I wasn't too sure about sharing some resources, but after getting some clarification, I wanted to provide a few that I hope can be helpful to anyone in this room, and I hope this information can be passed down to students within our community, but also outside of our community. With everything happening politically, many of us, including myself, have been feeling fear and uncertainty. In times like this, connecting with support systems can really mean a lot and can create a difference. So one tool that I have done a lot of research into and has been especially useful for students and families, it's called Turn Signal. This is an app that was actually created by a mayor. But either way, that allows you to connect directly with an attorney if you were ever stopped by police. The attorney will stay on the phone with you and provide legal advice in real time, helping ensure your rights are protected. And then if anybody needs any resources outside of CSU, please feel free to reach out and I can help you look for any or also provide resources that I'm aware of. But also to ensure that you're not alone and that there's many students here and amazing faculty and staff that will also help you find those resources and are willing to help you. And just don't ever feel alone, you know? But with that, I also want to connect everyone to the CRCs, and I'm extending an invite again. Please visit our CRCs. They're here to provide resources for you, and they're meant for everyone on campus. So please use them. We also host many fun events that are open to the public. So going into that, we have fun events coming up. National Latinx Heritage Month will be taking place on September 15th to October 15th. So please keep out on the lookout for those future events. I'll also be giving out more information as the dates approach. And thank you so much. And if you ever need someone to go into one of these CRCs or just find a resource on campus, I will literally walk anywhere or give you a ride anywhere. But yeah, just let me know. My DMs are always open. But yeah, thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you. Senator Frisky.
Okay, I'm gonna be really quick. I'm just putting myself out as a resource, since I work at the Safe Center, as a friend to everyone and also as a Safe Center employee. Whatever hat you want me to wear, I'll wear that. That if it helps you, I can walk you to the Safe Center or why am I blanking? An advocate. There we go. God. But just know that I'm here for you. And yeah, take care.
Thank you. Pro Tem Borlatz. I
have another report on behalf of Chair Gilroy. These are not my words, these are hers. Quote, sorority recruitment is this weekend starting on Saturday morning on campus. So if you don't want to be swamped by the George of jittery young women, do please avoid. End quote. I yield.
Thank you, Chair Gilroy. Are there any other senator or associate senator reports at this time? Senator McAllis Johnson.
I do that. As an extension of that, if you do know women that are going through the process and or are recruiting, it is one of the most stressful, time-draining, emotionally exhausting processes a person could ever go through. So support the people in your lives that you know are going through that, because it is far more work than you could ever imagine. I yield.
Thank you. Are there any other senator or associate senator reports? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into confidence business with 2 hours on the clock, starting with the ratification of executive interns. Additionally, starting with the classroom success coordinator intern, Jack Randalls. So if they want to come up. Just a quick reminder about what our ratification process for interns looks like. It's a little different than when we're ratifying members internal to us or officials of other branches. For interns specifically, we're more so looking for questions about the purpose of the position and the awareness of if they're aware of what they're gonna do in their role and they feel sufficiently prepared. But with that, you have 10 minutes to present.
All right, hello again, my name is Reese Clover-Giddens, again, Assistant Director of Academic Innovation. I have the privilege of introducing Sir Jack Daniels here. Jack is a journalism major hailing from Aurora, Colorado, as well as Eagle Crest High School. He was on student council there. A lot of the event coordinating was his main specialty here, but super interested in the space and what student government looked like in college versus high school, and was super excited to get into whatever we have for him, which I'm super excited for as well. As far as his specific role as classroom success coordinator, my approach in my role as the Assistant Director of Academic Innovation is very holistic as far as who we're working with and what we're considering is not traditionally accepted as academic, that's working with CRCs, basic needs, all of these kind of external forces that kind of inform student experience in the classroom. Jack here will be making sure that while we are all out, the part of the Unified Success Department in all of these different spaces, that is actually getting back to the classroom in some practical, actual sense and really focusing in on that key piece there. But yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything, maybe I'm good. But yeah, we're super excited for it. We hope you guys are too. Now I'll leave it there. So.
Do you also want to talk or no? Okay, cool. With that, we'll go ahead and enter a period of Q&A by first raised placard. Seeing none, if you want to go ahead and take a step out. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and enter a period of discussion debate by first raised placard. Senator Grenand. Yay.
I would want to motion to a previous question.
Is there any dissent to this motion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move into a period of voting. The initial means of voting for a position is by secret ballot. Chair Hill.
I motion to vote by unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent to this means of voting? Hearing none, is there any dissent to the ratification of this candidate? Hearing none, we have the draw.
I state your name,
I, Jack Randalls,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and
the
regulations
rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students
of the Associated Students
of Colorado State University
of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my
the
office
duties of my office
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
Congrats.
Next, we'll be moving into the
Point
ratification.
of information, is Landon Blanco here?
That's what I'm actually.
Cool, I would like to move to put both operations interns on slate.
Second.
Is there any dissent to this motion? Hearing none, these candidates will be on the slate.
Thank you, you're the best. I'm doing things a little differently, they're gonna introduce themselves, I think it's, you guys hear from me enough, so. Go introduce yourselves.
Awesome. Alright, hello, my name is Alexander Fiducia. I'm coming in as an operational efficiency intern under Andrew in the Office of the President. I want to kind of, I did student government in high school, I was very involved. I really enjoyed kind of being able to talk to a lot of people, meet a lot of new faces. It was one of my favorite parts of high school, and I really want to kind of continue that in my career at CSU. So I'm hoping to join ASCSU. Operational efficiency, I'm helping to kind of get a lot of our systems in the executive office a little more strung out so that everybody knows how to do stuff, how we want them done, and how they should do them, basically. Yeah.
It's your turn. Okay. Switch off, sorry.
Hi, everybody. My name is Landon Blanco. I am a part of the operational relations here with ASCSU with Andrew. Super excited to be in this role. Works a lot with communication. I do think communication is key for success, especially within such a great organization like ASCSU. So I'm super excited. I did student government in high school a little bit and wanted to continue that coming in here. And Andrew was kind enough to take me under his wing. So yeah, super excited.
Awesome. We'll be entering a period of Q&A by Vice Chair Splacker. Senator Johnson.
Do you both feel confident in what your roles are gonna be and like your understanding of it? Yes or no? You can expand if you want.
I think so. I think you guys have a great organization here, and coming in as an intern, I'm confident that I can come into this role and know what my role is, what my duties are, and so I'm super excited, and I think this is going to be a great year.
Yeah, I second that. I also feel like I've been pretty well prepared. I'm getting a good rundown of the office and everyone around here, so very excited.
Brilliant, I yield.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for our candidates? Seeing none, if you could both take a step outside.
I'm not going with you guys, go along. Alright, you guys got it.
With that, we'll be starting a period of discussion debate by First Chair Splacker. Senator Garnand.
Motion to previous question.
Is there any dissent? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move into a period of voting. Senator Garnand.
Motion to approve both these candidates with unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent to this means of voting? Hearing none, we'll use unanimous consent. Is there any dissent to the ratification of these candidates? Hearing none, they both got the job.
I state your name,
I, Alexander Fiducia,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University,
and will rightfully perform
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congrats.
With that, we'll now be moving into old business, starting and ending with Lex 5501, the omnibus Lex of the 54th Senate constitutional amendments. Just to quickly review what old business looks like in comparison to new business, because we haven't really done that in a while. Instead of doing Q&A, we'll be entering discussion debate, and because this edits our constitution, it requires third reads, so we'll go back out to committee, and then we'll come back for another round of discussion debate. But with that, if the author could please come up. Yes. As this was pulled from committees, there aren't any edits made. So we'll just go straight into a period of discussion debate by first raise placard. Senator Taylor.
So this was pulled out of committee because it's been a couple of weeks now and committees haven't seen and made edits to this. Mostly I wanted to pull that because it'll be going back out to committees and I wanted to continue the process of this so that we can act as though we have ratified the Constitution in the election. Senator Pickrell has pointed out a couple of inconsistencies within that just because the last Senate passed multiple pieces of legislation amending the same section of the Constitution. So that will be discussed in committees and possibly committee of the whole next time that we see this, just so that we can resolve those issues. Should be quick and simple though. Anyways, I think that this is an excellent piece of legislation and we should continue this. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Taylor. Are there any other points of discussion or debate on this piece of legislation? Chair McLaughlin.
For the author, would you have any issues if this passed without all Lexes made last year, before the election?
The intention of this legislation is to essentially have ASCSU function as though we had ratified the Constitution in this spring. And so all of the legislation amending the Constitution that was passed in the 54th Senate will be included in this bill up until the election. I think that's enough said on that.
Okay, I yield.
Thank you, Chair McLaughlin. Are there any other points of discussion or debate? Seeing none, we'll be voting on whether or not this continues. Let's go ahead and do this with unanimous consent. Is there any dissent to this piece of legislation continuing? Hearing none, it'll continue, and it'll be sent to the Budgetary Affairs Committee and DEI. As there's no business, we'll go ahead and move into ending roll call. Chair Minolti.
Motion to use beginning roll call and ending roll call, and let anyone who showed up late just hop on.
Is there any dissent to this motion? Hearing none, thank you, we adjourn.